It costs more to make than it's worth. It's ignored, dropped and forgotten, but this tiny coin once held the power to feed families and sway economies. So why do some people want it gone, coin, and others willing to pay $1 million monumental just to own one? The 1-cent coin, often dismissed, overlooked, or left abandoned in jars and drawers, carries a surprisingly rich and complex history that spans centuries and continents. Despite its negligible monetary value in today's economic landscape, the 1-cent coin has held immense symbolic weight, cultural influence, and practical importance. Its journey from a vital piece of commerce to a controversial and increasingly obsolete artifact is a story of economic evolution, national identity, and societal change. The birth of the 1-cent coin, symbolism and utility. The concept of a low-denomination coin dates back to ancient civilizations, but the 1-cent coin, as most know it today, finds its roots in the formation of the modern United States. In 1793, just a few years after the U.S. Constitution authorized Congress to coin money, the first official 1-cent coin, known as the flowing hair cent, was minted by the Philadelphia Mint. Made of pure copper and significantly larger than today's penny, it featured a depiction of liberty with flowing hair, symbolizing freedom and democracy. The introduction of this coin marked a pivotal moment in the young republic's efforts to standardize currency and create a functional monetary system based on decimal divisions, inspired by Thomas Jefferson's vision. In other nations, similar coins emerged with their own cultural markings. The British penny had been circulating for centuries, and European countries adopted small denomination coins to facilitate everyday transactions. These coins weren't just about economics, they were about identity. They bore the faces of monarchs, emblems of national pride, and inscriptions meant to unite the people under a shared financial language. Economic evolution and the changing role of the cent. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the 1-cent coin played a critical role in daily commerce. In the United States, it was the cornerstone of small purchases. Candies, newspapers, and postage stamps all commonly cost just 1 cent. Its purchasing power, especially during times of economic hardship like the Great Depression, made it indispensable for working-class Americans. Internationally, similar small coins helped lubricate the gears of commerce, enabling smoother transactions among all classes of society. As industrialization progressed and inflation slowly eroded the value of currency, the real-world value of the 1-cent coin began to decline. However, and it still retained its psychological redefining value. Businesses priced items at $0.99 forced many nations to reconsider the materials used in their coinage. To give the illusion of affordability. During World War II, for marketing tactic, copper was deemed essential for military use. Even today. In 1943, the United States issued steel pennies coated in zinc to preserve copper for the war effort. These steelies were visually distinct, magnetic, and short-lived, yet they remain a favorite among collectors due to their uniqueness and historical context. Other nations face similar dilemmas. Wartime economies around the globe adapted their coinage to match material availability and production capability. In doing so, the intrinsic value of coins, including the 1 cent, often fluctuated depending on the metal content. As years progressed, governments continuously had to balance durability, cost-effectiveness, and public trust when choosing what materials to mint. Suspension and debate. Is the cent still worth it? By the late 20th century, questions began to rise. Was the 1-cent coin still necessary? The cost of production had surpassed the coin's face value in many countries. In the United States, for example, it now costs more than 2 cents to produce a single penny, leading to a financial loss with every unit minted. Similar concerns emerged in Canada, the United Kingdom, Australia, and other nations where inflation rendered low-denomination coins increasingly obsolete. In 2012, Canada made a landmark decision to suspend the production of its 1-cent coin, citing economic inefficiency and environmental waste. The Royal Canadian Mint officially ceased distribution of pennies, transitioning to a system of rounding cash transactions to the nearest 5 cents. Businesses and consumers quickly adapted, and the policy was broadly successful, encouraging other countries to consider similar measures. Australia and New Zealand had already eliminated their 1 and 2 cent coins in the 1990s, also opting for rounding systems that proved effective. The United Kingdom phased out its halfpenny in 1984, though it continues to produce pennies. Discussions about retiring the 1 cent coin remain ongoing in many nations, including the US, where resistance often stems from tradition, public sentiment, and lobbying by industries that benefit from penny-based pricing models. The psychological and cultural value of the cent. Despite its minimal economic worth, the 1 cent coin carries significant psychological and cultural weight. The American penny, featuring Abraham Lincoln since 1909, has become a symbol of national heritage. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, breaking from earlier traditions of idealized allegories. The Lincoln cent celebrated the 100th anniversary of his birth and has remained in circulation ever since, through countless redesigns, commemorative versions, and shifts in minting materials. People associate the penny with childhood, with luck. Find a penny, pick it up, and all day long you'll have good luck. And with frugality. For many, it's their first experience with money, used in school projects, charity jars, and allowance savings. The visual image of a penny is etched into collective memory, making its removal from circulation not just an economic decision, but an emotional one. In Europe, the situation is similar. The Eurozone's 1 cent coin and its 2 cent counterpart is still legal tender, but several member states have adopted rounding policies that render them practically useless. Nonetheless, the European Central Bank continues to produce them to maintain uniformity across the euro system. The collector's gem, uniqueness and rarity. While most 1 cent coins are virtually worthless in monetary terms, a few are extraordinarily valuable to collectors. Rare misprints, mint errors, and early editions of the cent can fetch thousands or even millions at auction. One of the most famous examples is the 1943 copper penny. While most 1943 cents were made from steel due to wartime copper shortages, a few were accidentally struck using leftover copper blanks. Only a handful exist, and they are among the most coveted coins in the world. One sold for over $1 million, 0 cents. Likewise, early large cents from the 18th and 19th centuries, such as the chain cent or Liberty Cap cent, are valuable artifacts that offer insight into a nation's formative years. Their intricate designs, mint variations, and historical significance make them prized among numismatists. Commemorative editions and proof pennies also add to the coin's uniqueness. Collectors seek out coins with special mint marks, low mintages, or historical relevance. These collectible coins transform the humble cent into a treasure trove of national history and artistic expression. Environmental and logistical challenges. The environmental costs of producing billions of low-value coins annually cannot be ignored. Mining, transportation, and minting operations contribute to carbon emissions and industrial waste. Critics argue that eliminating the 1 cent coin would be a small but meaningful step toward environmental sustainability. With digital transactions on the rise, the necessity for physical change is diminishing. Many countries have already integrated cashless systems that bypass the need for coins altogether. Logistically, 1 cent coins pose challenges for banks, businesses, and governments. Their storage, handling, and transportation are inefficient and expensive. Counting and rolling them is labor-intensive, leading to unnecessary burdens on both retailers and financial institutions. Governments worldwide are increasingly questioning whether the cent's continued existence justifies the hassle. For the future of the 1 cent coin, tradition versus progress. The debate over the future of the 1 cent coin is ultimately a reflection of broader tensions between tradition and progress. For some, retiring the penny or its equivalents feels like erasing a piece of national history. For others, it's a rational step forward in an age of digital wallets, contactless payments, and economic efficiency. As inflation continues to reduce the coin's purchasing power, its utility as a medium of exchange diminishes further. Yet, even if the cent disappears from circulation, its legacy will endure. It has been a witness to centuries of economic development, political upheaval, and cultural change. From Lincoln's solemn profile to the symbolic phrases it has carried, E pluribus unum and In God we trust. The 1-cent coin tells the story of a nation, of its values and contradictions, of its growth and its nostalgia. Whether it continues as legal tender or becomes a relic of the past, the 1-cent coin remains a fascinating symbol of the intersection between economy, identity, and memory. Its small size belies a massive historical footprint, and for that reason its story deserves to be preserved, if not in pockets, then in the collective consciousness of generations to come.